It was 3:15 a.m., and the fluorescent lights of the Starlight Diner on Route 17 in rural Montana buzzed like a swarm of tired bees. I was midway through my shift, the only waitress in a 24-hour joint that served truckers, drifters, and the occasional lost soul who wandered too far from civilization. The place was a relic. Greasy countertops, cracked vinyl booths, and a jukebox that hadn't worked since the Clinton administration. Wednesday nights were dead, and tonight was no exception. I'd refilled the ketchup bottles, scrubbed the coffee pot, and was nursing a lukewarm Coke when the bell above the door jingled. In walked a man, moving like he was trying to slip through the shadows. He wore a faded denim jacket, a baseball cap pulled low, and mirrored sunglasses that reflected the diner's dim glow. It was odd, those glasses, considering the moon was hidden behind clouds outside. He hesitated by the entrance, scanning the empty booths before settling his gaze on me. "Hey," I said, wiping my hands on my apron. "Welcome to Starlight. Booth or counter?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he took a step forward, his boots scuffing the linoleum. "Can I just sit for a bit? I need to be inside. Somewhere safe." His voice was hoarse, like he'd been shouting into the wind. I raised an eyebrow. "You all right? Something wrong?" He glanced over his shoulder at the dark windows. "I just can't go back out there, not yet." I followed his gaze to the parking lot. Nothing but his rusted pickup truck, parked at an odd angle near the dumpster. No other vehicles, no headlights cutting through the night. The policy was strict. No loitering, especially at this hour. But something about his hunched shoulders and the way his hands trembled made me pause. He didn't look like trouble, just someone running from it. "There's a booth by the kitchen," I said, nodding toward the back. "You can sit there, but if my boss checks the cameras, I'll have to explain." "That's fine," he said quickly. "Thank you." I led him to the booth, the one closest to the pass-through window where I could keep an eye on him. He slid in, keeping his cap low and sunglasses on. I offered him a menu and a cup of coffee, but he waved both off, wrapping his arms around himself like he was trying to hold something in. I left him there and returned to the counter, busying myself with wiping down the same spot I'd cleaned an hour ago. Every few minutes, I glanced at the parking lot. Still empty. About 30 minutes later, I peeked through the pass-through. He hadn't moved, just sat there staring at the tabletop, muttering softly. I couldn't catch the words, but the rhythm was uneven, like a prayer gone wrong. I shrugged it off and went back to work, restocking sugar packets and checking the clock. 4 a.m. crept closer, and the diner felt heavier, like the air itself was holding its breath. Then the security camera feed on the little monitor behind the counter flickered. Just a blip, but enough to make me tap the screen. It froze, then snapped back to normal. I frowned, checking the other angles. Parking lot, entrance, kitchen, all clear. But when I glanced at the booth, the man was gone. No sound, no jingle of the bell. Just an empty seat. I walked over, heart picking up speed. His coffee cup sat untouched, the surface still as glass. I scanned the diner, checked the bathroom, even poked my head outside. His truck was still there, but he was nowhere. I went back to the booth, and that's when I saw it. A small folded piece of paper tucked under the salt shaker. I unfolded it with shaky fingers. Scrawled in smudged ink was my name, Clara. I hadn't told him my name. I wasn't wearing a name tag. Before I could process it, the bell jingled again. 2 sheriff's deputies stepped inside, their radios crackling. The older one, a woman with sharp eyes, nodded at me. "Evening, Clara. We got a call about a disturbance here." I blinked. I didn't call anyone. They exchanged a glance. "Silent alarm tripped. You alone tonight?" "Well, yeah, except..." I hesitated. "There was a guy here, sat in the back for about an hour. He's gone now." The younger deputy, a wiry guy with a mustache, stepped forward. "What did he look like?" "Denim jacket, cap, sunglasses, looked nervous, asked to stay inside, said he wasn't safe outside." The deputy stiffened. "How long was he here?" the woman asked. "Left maybe 5 minutes ago. Didn't see him go." She motioned for her partner to check the lot while she headed toward the kitchen. "Stay here," she told me. A moment later, I heard her radio buzz, followed by a muffled curse. The younger deputy came back inside, his face pale. "His truck's empty, but there's a bag in the bed. Looks like duct tape, rope, and a knife." My stomach dropped. The woman deputy returned, holding the note I'd left on the table. "This yours?" "No," I said, voice barely above a whisper. "It was under the salt shaker." She read it, her jaw tightening. "He's been spotted before. Drifter, moves through small towns. Targets late-night workers, gets them to let him in, then... Well, sometimes things go missing. Sometimes people do." I stared at her. "He didn't take anything." "Not yet," she said. "We'll check the cameras. You stay put." They pulled the footage, but the monitor kept glitching. When it finally loaded, the man was there in the booth, then gone, no transition. The timestamp jumped 10 minutes. The deputies took my statement, told me to lock up tight, and left to sweep the area. I didn't sleep for days, and I quit the diner the next week. That note with my name on it? I burned it, but I still check my locks twice every night. I work nights at a distribution warehouse just outside Boise, Idaho. The kind of place that smells like cardboard and diesel, with forklifts humming and overhead lights that cast long, jagged shadows. I was 23, saving up for trade school, and the graveyard shift paid double. Most nights it was just me, a few other stalkers, and the hum of the ventilation system. Quiet, repetitive, easy. About a month ago, I started noticing her. A woman, always standing at the edge of the employee parking lot, just beyond the chain-link fence. She'd be there when I arrived at 10 p.m., leaning against a street lamp, her face half hidden by a scarf. She never approached, never waved, just watched. At first, I thought she was waiting for someone. A ride, maybe. But night after night, same spot, same stillness, it started to gnaw at me. I mentioned it to my coworker, Javier, during a smoke break. He squinted into the dark. "Probably just a tweaker. We get him around here." "Yeah, maybe," I said, but I wasn't convinced. She didn't move like someone high. Too steady. Too focused. One night, I was hauling pallets to the loading dock when I felt it. That prickle on the back of my neck. Like someone was staring. I turned, and there she was. Closer now, just on the other side of the fence. Her scarf had slipped, revealing pale skin and eyes that seemed to catch the light wrong, almost glowing. I froze, pallet jack still in hand. She didn't move, just stared back. "Hey," I called, trying to sound tougher than I felt. "You need something?" She didn't answer, just pulled her scarf up and walked into the dark. I told Javier, but he just laughed. "You're spooked over nothing, Ethan." The next night she was back. Same spot, same scarf. But this time I noticed something else. A small red light, like a camera, blinking faintly in her hand. I didn't say anything to anyone. Didn't want to sound paranoid. But I started parking closer to the entrance, checking my mirrors before getting out of my car. A week later, I was driving home at dawn, the sky bruising purple. I glanced in my rearview mirror and saw a gray sedan, maybe a Honda, trailing me. I turned left. It followed. I sped up. It matched me. My pulse hammered as I took a random right into an industrial park, a maze of warehouses and dead ends. The sedan stayed close. I called 911, voice shaking, and gave them my location. There's a car following me. I think it's someone who's been watching my work. The operator kept me calm, told me to head toward a main road. Before I could, red and blue lights flashed behind me. A cop car cut off the sedan, forcing it to stop. I pulled into a nearby lot, hands trembling on the wheel. An officer approached me later, said the sedan's plates were stolen, registered to a scrapped vehicle in Oregon. The driver, a woman no ID, had a notebook with addresses, including mine and the warehouse. She didn't speak, just stared at the ground when they questioned her. They let her go the next day. No charges stuck. I requested day shifts after that. The warehouse feels different now, like the shadows are watching back. The Save Mart in Flagstaff, Arizona, wasn't exactly a dream job, but it paid the bills. I was a night stalker, slicing open boxes and stacking shelves from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. The store was a fluorescent maze, with muzak droning overhead and the occasional squeak of my sneakers on the waxed floor. Most nights, it was just me, the assistant manager, and a security guard who napped in the break room. 2 weeks ago, I noticed him. A guy in a black windbreaker standing in aisle 7 by the canned soups. He wasn't shopping, just standing there, hands in his pockets, head tilted like he was studying the labels. I didn't think much of it. People wander in late sometimes. But when I passed by again 20 minutes later, he was still there. Same spot, same pose. "Hey, you good?" I asked, keeping my tone light. He didn't respond, didn't even turn, just shifted slightly like he'd heard me but didn't care. I moved on, but the unease lingered. By 3 a.m., he was gone. I checked the cameras later with the guard, Luis. The guy had left through a side exit, no purchase, no bag.
He was back the next night, same windbreaker, same aisle. This time, I caught him glancing at me as I walked by, his eyes hidden under a low cap. I didn't like it. I told Luis, who shrugged. Probably just a weirdo. Keep an eye out. The third night, I was restocking cereal when I saw him again. But he wasn't in aisle 7. He was in the frozen section. Door open, steam curling around him as he stared at the pizzas. I watched from the end cap, and that's when I saw his phone. Held low, camera lens pointed my way. My heart skipped. I backed into the stockroom, locked the door, and texted Luis. "Check aisle 12. He's taking pictures." Luis found me 10 minutes later. He's gone. Bolted when I walked over. We pulled the footage. The guy had been in every night I worked, always between 2 o'clock and 3 a.m., always near me, always watching. The worst part? One clip showed him slipping into the employee-only area, standing by the time clock where my schedule was posted. He'd taken a photo of it. The cops came, took a report, but couldn't do much without a name or a crime. I switched stores the next day. I still check every aisle before I walk down it. I've been a night shift receptionist at a small hospital in Augusta, Maine, for 6 years. The ER is quiet most nights, just the hum of machines and the occasional patient drifting in. I'm used. 2 odd characters, people on edge, people in pain. But last November, something happened that I can't shake. It was 3:20 a.m., and I was sipping terrible coffee when a woman walked in. She wore a nurse's scrubs, hair pulled back, a badge clipped to her pocket. She looked like she belonged, except for the way she moved, too deliberate, like every step was calculated. She stopped at my desk and said, "I'm here for Daniel Carter." I checked the system. Daniel, last name Carter. Just Daniel, she said, her voice flat. I frowned. I need a full name to look him up. He was here last week, she said. I visited him, just checking if he's okay. I scanned the patient log. No, Daniel Carter. Sorry, no one by that name tonight. She nodded, almost like she'd rehearsed it, and left without another word. I didn't think much of it until I got that gut feeling, the one that tells you something's off. During a lull, I checked last week's admissions. There was a Daniel Carter, 32, admitted for a panic attack. His chart mentioned a woman who'd shown up at his workplace, claiming to be his sister. He swore he didn't have one. He'd been released after 24 hours, supposedly picked up by a family member. But the discharge note was weird, it said. Verified by ID, but I'd been on duty that night. No one had come to my desk. I pulled the security footage. Tuesday, 1:45 a.m., there was Daniel, sitting in the waiting room, looking shaken. Fast forward to his discharge. He left through a side exit, not the main lobby, with a woman in scrubs. Same height, same hair, same deliberate walk as the one who'd come to my desk. No record of her entering the hospital. No badge scan, no check-in. Just there, then gone. I reported it to security. They brushed it off, probably a clerical error, they said. But a nurse I confided in remembered seeing her too, lingering outside Daniel's room the night he was admitted. No badge, no purpose. Just standing there. I checked Daniel's file a week later. No updates, no contact info. Just a disconnected phone number and a chill I can't shake. I'd only been cleaning the Westfield Mall in Spokane, Washington, for a month when it happened. Night shifts were calm, no crowds, just the echo of my footsteps and the hum of my floor buffer. The mall was huge, with glass ceilings and endless corridors, but I liked the solitude. Until that night, I was polishing the floor near the food court when I noticed the door to one of the service closets was ajar. Not unusual, janitors sometimes forgot to lock up. I pushed it open, expecting nothing. Inside was a camera, propped on a shelf, its red light blinking. It was recording, aimed at the hallway I'd just been cleaning. The timer read 8 minutes. My first thought was that someone forgot it. But the mall had been closed for hours. I stopped the recording, my reflection staring back from the lens. I didn't watch the footage. Something told me not to. I took the camera to the security office and told the guard, Maria. She frowned, checked the feeds. A figure in a dark jacket had slipped into the closet an hour earlier, through a maintenance door that should have been locked. No alarm, no trace. We checked older footage. The same figure had been in the mall 3 nights that week, always near my cleaning route, always gone before we could catch them. Maria reported it to management, who called it a prank. I didn't buy it. That camera was set up to watch me, and whoever left it knew exactly when I'd be there. I quit the next day. The mall offered me a bonus to stay, but I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was still watching, waiting for me to walk down the wrong hallway. These stories linger, don't they? The night shift has a way of turning the ordinary into something you can't unsee. If these tales hit you, share your own creepy shift story below. And if empty roads call your name, click to watch 5 chilling tales of midnight drives gone wrong. Stay sharp, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next shadow.